My name is Kwabena Chenche Henibwati. Many thanks for joining us here on Newsdesk to our very first story this morning. And more than 1 million people are expected to register today as the Electoral Commission commences the limited voter registration exercise. The exercise is to run from today, April 28, to Sunday, May 8. Joining us is Derek Ekosam, has been to some registration centers in the capital and reports of an extremely low turnout at these centers.
We are looking at the limited voter registration exercise by the Electoral Commission. This is for people who have just turned 18 and for others who did not have a chance to go through the registration exercise the last time we had that. We are at Accra Polytechnic. This is one of the centers where people will be given the chance to register. Already they are set. They started a little bit late. By the time we got there around 7, they were yet to set up. But let's talk to the people in charge and ask them how many people are registering today and what time would they close. So let's get talking to the people.
We've divided it into 10. So from here we'll be going to our center.
Okay.
So under Accra Poly, there are a lot of polling stations under Accra Poly. Yeah.
So how long do you expect to stay here?
We are supposed to stay here for 5 days. So after the 5 days, we will move to our center. And because of the limited resource that we have in terms of human capacity, so from here we are going to spend 5 days here, and then on the 6th day we will take a rest and then move to our center.
Okay, so what it means is that for the first 5 days you'll be here, but after your 5 days have expired, you would move on to Art Center. That's it, right? So when I got here at 7, you were yet to set up. You were behind time, sort of, isn't it?
No, we weren't behind time. We arrived here around 6:30, and we were setting up the case. We weren't behind time at all.
I've seen a couple of tables here. Can you please walk me through the process? There's one table to my right, there's another one here, and then yourself, and it looks like that is the exit point. What really are the processes you have to go through to register as a voter? And would you also get your ID card once you are done today?
Yeah, what we have is the first person to attend to is the registration officer. Then from there you go to the data entry officer, who is going to enter your biodata, and also to the laminator who is going to issue you your ID card. That's all.
It looks like the numbers are not that encouraging. You don't have a lot of people coming here this morning, right?
Yeah, as at now, nobody have come, and we are expecting them. Maybe today is the first day, so probably that is how it is going to be.
But is it also not the case that you are in an area that is difficult to find? Because when we were coming here, we asked of you from the security guard. He showed us this place, but we had to actually roam for at least 3 minutes before finding you. You look like you are in an enclosed area where it will be difficult to find. And really, you don't have any signpost around as well.
Yeah, there is a signpost. There is a signpost. They say the people living here knows, the polling, their registration center. They themselves know.
It's the first day for them, and so the numbers are not that encouraging. They are expecting that as the day wears on, we'll have a lot more people coming in to register. This is one of the more than 30 polling centers in the Osu Clotte Kwale constituency. We are at Editrom polling center, still in the Clotte Kwale constituency. You want to speak to the presiding officer, the man in charge of this polling center, ask him what challenges they have been through so far, and if indeed we have the numbers here. Because when we went to Accra Polytechnic, remember, we didn't have a lot of people registering. So
only one came in, but he has to bring his guarantors, so he has gone back to bring them.
And why does he have to bring his guarantors?
Yeah, because I asked him some questions. He doesn't have a lot of the requirements we needed. So with that, and he said he has not registered since, and he's 24 years. So I asked him then he should bring 2 guarantors so that we can proceed.
What really are the requirements you are looking out for?
We need either your ID card, your driver's license, or your distance, your passports, so that we can be vigilant. We can know that yes, it's true. You've attained the age and the vicinity that you are in.
So if he has to bring guarantors, how many guarantors do you need, and what exactly do you have to? 2 guarantors?
Yeah.
And it could be just anybody who knows him?
Yeah, we want anybody who knows him, knows his background, and somebody who has registered and has the voter's ID card. That was the previous, not today's own, or the subsequent days that we are here to register.
And how many people are you expecting to register at this polling center?
That will be very difficult because you can't tell. As at now, they are not in, but I know they will be coming.
So that was the situation a short while ago, but we'll be going pretty shortly to the Sam and find out whether or not the situation is any different from what he reported earlier. But let's now go to the Ashanti region and find out what the situation there as well is. And joining me now on phone is Love FM's, Insura FM's Ohim Interior, who's standing by with a lot more updates on the situation there. So, good morning. Many thanks for your time. So, what's the situation in the Ashanti region? I mean, from what we see here, there's a pretty low turnout. Is that the same over there?
Yes, I'm not able to say whether it's the process, the exercise is registering a low turnout. But what I do know is that the number of new first-time voters are being turned away because they have been coming to the registration centers without guarantors. So when the officers ask them to go and bring the guarantors, they go and return no more. So that has been the process. That has been the situation in almost all the registration centers I have visited. I visited 3 of them in the Ejiso constituency, and that is what I've been observing here.
Earlier, we did hear from some members of parliament and some persons raising concerns about accusing some other political parties and their opponents of busing people into the various constituencies just so they could have enough votes there. I mean, has this in any way brought about, has this in any way raised concerns there, and has it really affected what is going on so far?
Not at all, okay. Not really, because with almost all the centers I've visited, I haven't seen these long winding queues, but the queues are, there are few people around. Normally, you see 6 people for 3 new registers, new voters, because each voter is supposed to come with 2 guarantors. Maybe it's too early to see or to see the development. Maybe as we progress, we may be seeing this development. But I must say, even with this issue, it was very common in the Asmawase where the Member of Parliament, Honorable Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak, revealed. So I'm not sure that the situation we witness in other parts of the region.
Right. Many thanks for that update. We'll be coming back to you in a short while for a lot more. And that was Love FM's, Insura FM's Ohim Interior, bringing us an update from the Ashanti region as well. Let's now head to the northern region. And Hashmin Mohammed is also standing by to give us a lot more. Hashmin, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. Right. So, unfortunately, we do not have Hashmin, but I do have Kofi Ahin, who is with the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, and earlier we do know that they deployed some 250 personnel to also monitor this very process and bring out some recommendations as far as the process itself is concerned. So joining me now is National Coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, Albert Kofi Ahin. And Mr. Ahin, good morning. Many thanks for your time, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
So, so far, what have you gathered from your men on the ground as far as this very process is concerned?
To be honest with you, we are not coming out this morning, or maybe what we are doing is that our men are on the ground working, and they have been calling, but not many of them have called so far.
Okay.
We want to come out in the afternoon to give Ghanaians what we have observed up to that point. So for now, I don't think we have anything for you.
Okay.
We have just started observing, and they are noting there are a whole lot of things that they are going to look at and report to us.
Okay.
So until we gather all this information, there will be nothing for you this morning.
Right, I understand that. But in the interim, I mean, between 7 a.m. that the process started and now, which is about 10:15, 3 hours, 15 minutes. And even for some of the centers we went to, not even a single person had showed up to register. Was it expected? Really, a lot of people raised concerns as to the poor... The fact that there wasn't enough announcements made, the fact that there wasn't enough noise about this process. So was it expected?
Yes, as you remember, if you can remember, audio came out some time back to talk about publicity as regards this exercise. And we said it was very low. It hadn't even been started at the time we came out. And we said that the commission was to come out early enough to start it so as to ginger people to come out in their numbers to do this exercise. I have also visited a few centers this morning. And like you are rightly saying, it is not encouraging. So maybe there will be a need for the commission to really expedite action and let the announcements go. Normally, the commission used to have some vans going around to make announcements. So maybe we need to revisit some of these things. Then using the TV, the radio, and whatever, I think we should need to intensify publicity. But like you're rightly saying, the attendance this morning is not, it's quite low. Maybe it will pick up in the afternoon. I don't know.
Okay.
So maybe we are slow starters. So let's hope that it gathers momentum later.
Right. Mr. Hines, so I'm presuming then that in your report that is going to come out sometime later in the day is likely to capture some of these things you are suggesting. Some of these recommendations.
Definitely. We're going to capture turnout. We're going to capture equipment and the efficiency of the EC itself, how they are doing the work vis-a-vis the CI91. You know, there's this law that is governing the election. Yeah. Are they performing according to the dictates of the CI91? And how is generally the setup at the centers? Okay. How are people, you know, above 18 coming? Are they coming? Their numbers? Is it a low? You know, that kind of research is what we are doing, and so we will definitely come out with a good picture for Ghanaians to watch. Okay.
Ms. Nai, many thanks for your time on News Desk this morning. Albert Kofi Ahen is the National Coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, and he's been sharing some thoughts on that very issue. And clearly, if you visited some of these centers, you can clearly say that there's been a pretty low turnout across board. But let's go to the northern region as well. Let's find out what the situation there is. And Hashmi Mohammed is joining me now with that very update. Hashmi, good morning. Many thanks for your time. So what's the situation in the northern region?
Well, the turnout is very, very low. But this morning it rained. It just stopped. Okay. And we are expecting that now that the rain has stopped, people will turn up at the centers to register. But it appears the information is not going on people, because I met some two who I suspect they could be of voting age by now, and they tell me that yes, they got the information this morning, but they don't think they will be able to go to today to register. They will still wait because there's still more time for them to do that.
Okay, so as things stand now, you do not know whether or not any of these centers have even already started registering people because of the rainy situation there.
To 3 centers already, and then those look very good. I didn't chance anyone there. I asked the registration officers, and they tell me that they have just started, and they are reason for people not turning up. They give the rains as the reason, and now that the rains have stopped, people are expected to come out to register.
Right. Hasmin, many thanks for that very update from the northern region. That was our northern regional correspondent, Hashmin Mohammed, bringing us a lot more on that. Also, he's saying that indeed, because of the rainy situation there, many people did not turn up. They haven't turned up yet, but he's hoping that the numbers go up. Also, he raised issues about the fact that some of the people who are just turned 18 that he spoke to suggested that they did not know a lot more about this very exercise. Let's now head to the Volta region, speak to Ivy Setoji, who's also doing some checks as far as this very exercise is concerned. Ivy, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So what's the situation where you are as well? Ivy, if you can hear me, I'm asking
of the centers. Right. Some of the centers recorded low turnout. When I visited a particular place called Dika, in the Hesse South municipality, recorded high turnout, about 64 as at the time before people were in line, and about 20 had already registered at that time.
Ivy, I think you might have to speak up a bit. We are finding it a bit difficult hearing you.
I was saying that the most of the centers recorded low turnout in Ango, Ketu South. There's a particular center at the Ketu South municipality recorded high turnout as at that time. 64 people were in line at that time in queue, and then about 20 had already registered at that time. Apart from that, everything is moving on smoothly.
Okay. Many thanks for that update, and that was Volta Regional Correspondent Ivy Setoji also bringing us some more from that very region. And clearly, across board, quite a number of people are not turning up. But indeed, this exercise has been very much keenly anticipated. And both political parties, and speaking of the NPP and the NDC, the two major political parties in the country, have been keeping a close eye on this very issue. And this morning on the AM show, we did have representatives from both parties in the studio, and they had a lot more to share. Let's first take a listen to the former General Secretary of the NPP. I'm speaking of Kwejo Owusu Efriye, popularly known as John, and then a member of the NDC's legal team, Abraham Amalaba, all sharing some thoughts on this very issue.
In that statement, she was calling on the people from, Togo to come in and register. So, and that's a very serious, statement coming from her, and it's part of the tape. People are only looking at the fusions coming from her as a result of the tribal, comment that she made. But in that statement, and I heard her clearly, calling on people from Togo to come, and that is one of the, the problems that people have talked about, not only here, but even in the Volta region and elsewhere. The winning or losing elections begins from this process. So I would urge all political parties to open their eyes and to ensure that those who qualify come to register, but those who do not, we will not have to travel that long distance, especially if I'm not from, say, an area. Everybody in that area knows that I am not, from this, electoral area. And so those who are desirous of busing people from elsewhere, bringing them to the Eastern region, and today I heard it in Oparian constituency, that people, so whom people were angry and saying that if the people bus,
but that's preemptive. We don't know.
So all these are very important. So I'm saying that nobody's going to tie their hands at their backs and then to say that, oh, the CI says that you should wait until this or that happens. I would not advocate for that. I would ensure compliance, and that if you know that you do not qualify to register or that you are not a Ghanaian, don't venture, because we are not going to allow it to say that, oh, you go through the processes and fail this and fail that, and if that is what the NDC is thinking about, that will not happen. We will prevent people from registering if you're not a Ghanaian.
These accusations are unfounded. Even in these 2012 elections register, the NDC has been accused of bringing in people from Togo to register. The question to ask is, let's assume, without admitting that we have brought people from Togo. During that time, did we construct roads before we could bring them?
You are saying that if
it were even true, did we construct roads before bringing them? So why is it this time we had to construct roads to pave way for them to come in? It doesn't add up.
It does.
We know there's a grand scheme, and this is how it is going to play out in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region. Anybody with a northern name will be treated as a, for example, from Burkina Faso.
Is that the intelligence section of the accusation?
We are picking. Anybody from Volta region with an ever name is to be treated as coming from Togo. Anybody with an Nzima name should be treated as coming from Ivory Coast. And so they are going to prevent people. Yesterday I heard their Deputy General Secretary, Boahin, indicate that they have asked their party agents, and listen to the language, to deal with anybody they suspect not to be a Ghanaian. So we have now become, the lawlessness in the party is now being transported into the larger Ghanaian society. If you suspect that somebody is not qualified, do you deal with him the way you want? But that's coming from a party official. So I'm not surprised. And I think that the continuous bastardization of the Electoral Commission is not going to help the MPP. What you should do is to get on with the job. Train your agents well to be able to do the work when they get to the polling station, the voting centers, the registration center, and not to try to sit in your homes when they call you on phone, then you incite violence. The police are also put on high alert, and we'll see what will happen.
So that was former General Secretary of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Kojo Owusu-Afriyie, popularly known as John, as well as a member of the NDC's legal team, Abraham Amalaba, on that voter registration exercise. We'll bring you a lot more on this in subsequent bulletins. But time now for us to take a break here on Newsdesk. When we come back, we'll bring you a lot more, including that very story, an update on the story of this 16-year-old boy who was brutalized by some military officers in the northern region. We're taking a break now. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.